Khan said that the new religion of the future won't be a religion, it will be a music. That means that all scriptures and stuff will go into the spheres and it would be a music. Because basically, they say heaven is within, so obviously music has to play a vital part in that. You understand what I'm saying? I talked about how in the Book of Thoth, Alex Carter's Book of Thoth, they mention it once, we don't hear it that much until Richard King talks about it, the Barahadna chakra, which is a chakra of inner ear melanin. The Barahadna chakra. And it talks about that, and it says that the Horus lock, which is the god Horus. Y'all all right? Yeah. The Horus lock is not that. It said that the Horus lock that you see here, when you get the word warlock later on, this is the baby Jesus or the baby Horus. Take your pick. Because guess what? I know the conscious people don't want to hear this, but guess what? The people in the church worshiping Jesus, they right on track. It's still Horus wherever you put it. So it doesn't matter based on the name. You see what I'm saying? And that's the only level that they can go to. Otherwise they would be in here, but in so many words, they still get it. When you look on a bigger picture, the spirit world say everything is as it's supposed to be. That's right. So, in our honesty, through the Jesus story, they are in on the Horus story. It's not a tragedy. It's just the version of what would come from slaves and what was given to them, but the white boy didn't give them some stuff that gave them the same stories. So the baby Jesus or the baby Horus, either way you got to become this. And I'm going into this in a few minutes. But just the Horus lock is, they said it is not indicating the lock of hair, it's indicating what's inside of the ear, called the Barahadna chakra, and Richard King called it the inner ear nucleus. It's the doorway to the temple. And it's all based on your music. That's the key. The religion is the music. Mm-hmm. Whatever floats your boat. You know what I'm saying? Me, I got all kinds. I get albums because I got turntables and stuff. I get albums for $1.50. And because they're so cheap, I got me some damn Johnny Cash. I said, why do I like this shit? Come to find out Johnny Cash got all his shit from black people. That's right. Mm-hmm. That Ring of Fire, that's some good shit. And it's mythology. There's one song where they say, it's in the West, and the mama telling this boy, don't take your guns to town. Leave your guns at home. And he takes the gun to town and get his ass killed. That's mythology. You see what I'm saying? You're going to find out that the origins of country music, and the PBS did a special late one night, that country music came out of a group of hillbilly black bands that died out by the 1930s because the music industry said, well, we'll choose the blues to record in the Smithsonian. We won't record the black hillbilly music. And that's what trained the white folks. The hillbilly music from black people and the church. Country music is niggerized. It's ours. And they got a guy, let you know they do ritual. They got a little short guy, I can't think his name, on the Grand Ole Opry. He used to come out with a harmonica, and he would open up the Grand Ole Opry every time they did a thing. He would come out and open up for him. He was like the Tahuti or the Anubis or the Ganesha. He was the opener of the way. It was a ritual. But the black hillbilly music didn't get recorded. They said, we'll do the blues, and the white folks took that. So Johnny Cash, I said, why am I buying this shit? Because it ain't nothing but blues. You see what I'm saying? So, I'm just saying, I have multiple things from Duke Ellington. You see what I'm saying? The Cameo. I got it all. You see, but my point here is the music, and guess what? You get old when you start listening to music. What happens? You listen to music when you're young, and you get old, you start listening to it. And when you start listening to it, that's when you die. The music is the key. That's the Orpheus. And here's the harvest, and they say it's in the ear. And they won't put this stuff in books. Crowley mentions it once in his book of Thoth. He mentions it once in the section called the Fool. The Fool is the first in the Tarot deck. It's the Egyptian Tarot, the book of Thoth, the Egyptian Tarot. He mentions it because the Tarot system came to Europe by the Moors. They brought the Tarot, and the playing cards came out of the Tarot. You see what I'm saying? Because you know they got divination where you can divine from playing cards. Call it destiny card books. You see what I'm saying? All that stuff was science of the Moors. They got it out of the Library of Alexandria. You see what I'm saying? Now, so, they talk about their Varahadna chakra and also the inner ear melon. Now, that's just like me. I knew it. I knew I was going to kick it over. It's the only one with the ice in it, too. But anyway, going back, the music is one of the keys. It's one of the keys. You see. Now, moving right along. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Shoot. Y'all all right?
Cool.
All right. I'm going to get a movie called The Iron Giant. The Iron Giant. It's a cartoon that came out in '99. The Iron Giant. And the Iron Giant is about a giant that came from another planet with superhuman powers, but he got hit in the head and didn't know who he was. Does this story sound familiar to you? Very humble, very nice, that's a boss. But when he found out who he was, he had a defense system that was so advanced until it was more advanced than the technology on the earth that the powers that be had. That's where we're going to go tonight. But it's simple, but sublime. Okay? Whatever it is, it's, well, I'm going to go ahead of myself. It's called an Iron Giant. And he found it, and when he comes down to earth, he can only hang out with a child and a beatnik. That's a white boy that was in the jazz that understood the black thing. The only two he can hang out with. It was done in the 1950s. Well, it took place in the 1950s, this robot. It's called an Iron Giant, and it's another story about you, and it's saying that you have a defense system inside of you that if it comes online, it's more powerful than anything that the powers that be has. Because it can make those things stop operating. And it's inside of us and inside of the DNA. Because the first thing when this defense system comes on this black man in the movie, which is a giant, two serpents come out the top of his head. Two electronic serpents, because it's supposed to be this robot. That's the Kundalini energy. And that's down by the way, though, 808. You see what I'm saying? That's the DNA. That's the DNA spiral. Now, it's getting interesting. Just know that in the Milky Way galaxy a month ago, the Hubble telescope or whatever picked up a star cluster in the Milky Way galaxy that was a perfect double helix spiral DNA lined up in the stars.
I saw that. I saw
Yeah.
a picture of that.
Yes, I got an internet piece on it. As above, so below. It's all happening. Just remember that. They picked it up. They say they're going to find 12 more, but they're not going to tell anybody about them. Just follow me for a minute. Just a minute. As we go into certain things. What you need to do to strengthen the DNA and the cells in your body is you need to get some. You can do it two ways. You notice all these ancient movies, I figured they didn't have but one thing to eat. You always see these people on these epics that used to come out, Ben-Hur, the Jesus epics, always the king of some part of Rome or Greece. Every now and then they might show a white pharaoh or whatever. But I'm like, they don't eat but one thing, grapes. You ever seen they sitting around all they doing is plucking grapes? I'm like, damn, did they have any food in the ancient world? All I ever see is grapes. Come to find out, not only the wine, that what strengthens and regenerates the cells. Let me give you the story. They got a group of black people in Detroit. All of them is 50 plus, 50s, early 60s, 60s and 50s. And they done hooked up on some stuff and got some conscious people and start drinking grape juice, and it started regenerating their cells, and they were getting younger each day. The woman said, you used to see some of these people, they going back to damn 30s. But there's a key. The key here is that the grape juice we have has sugar in it, high fructose corn syrup. Mm-hmm. And the grape juice, the sugar shuts down the cells for 5 hours, enough for the grape juice to pass through. The key here is two things. If you drink the Welch's, what they started doing was this. You can do it two ways. I'll take the easy way. I'll tell you the easy way. The one way is you take the Welch's grape juice and you put a pinch of baking soda in the glass, and the grape juice turns to cobalt blue and it destroys the sugar, and you drink it and it goes straight to the cells and start regenerating the cells. So I said, I gotta go and get me some baking soda, some Welch's grape juice. So these black people in their 50s, their 60s, and they have regenerated their cells. So another way is you can go, I got it at Walmart. You go to Walmart, you see the juice aisle. On one aisle, the aisle right before that, and it's the same in other countries, other cities, because when I was in Indiana doing a lecture, it was the same way. The aisle before the juice aisle is the kosher aisle. And they got a kosher grape juice called Kadim.
Yes, sir.
It ain't got no sugar or nothing in it. That's what them Jews drink.
That's right. That's right.
Kadim.
I got a bottle of it in the car. That's right.
You can get the Kadim, and it does the same thing, but you got to get it and just start drinking it.
Yes.
And it regenerates the cells.
K-E-D-E-M.
What's that?
K-E-D-E-M.
K-E-D-E-M, Kadim. And it don't have no sugar, nothing, and it goes straight to the blood cell, goes straight to the cells.
Yes, sir. That's the bomb. That's it.
And the stuff works.
Jewish stuff, man.
That's that Jew stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they ain't them Jews ain't gonna be into nothing that ain't gonna work now. They ain't like black folks. We loyal. Shit ain't worked since we've been here. Or at least ain't worked since 1957. We still in it. The History Channel will show you the stuff is coming out. The History Channel came on. They did a thing on how Elvis, 10 days it changed America. And they said one was how Elvis changed America. And they said it had something to do with the civil rights movement. I said, well, it came on at 8. It was already at about 9, already about 8:45. I said, no, I'm gonna wait till 11 and catch this shit. I want to see what lie they gonna come with. So I watched this thing on how Elvis changed America when he went on the Ed Sullivan show. I said, let me see what they gonna do. Oh, now they gonna make Elvis Martin Luther King now. But to my surprise, they came with it. They said that basically in so many words, and it's the same story we know, but they documenting it now, that America in the 1950s had a certain rigid mentality that would not be the precursor for modern America. They was locked out a certain amount of things. And in so many words, they say because they didn't have the black element. And they said not only did Elvis bring the music from our side of town to their side of town and make them go crazy, they said that he even went down to the black community and bought the clothes that black people used to wear in Memphis. And when they saw those clothes, you know all the colors and shit, you know black people. You know what I'm saying? And they saw them clothes and said, hey, it's all right to wear an orange suit. They went crazy. And they said, well, by the time they hit Ed Sullivan, they saw black culture that normally, you see what I'm saying? The new black culture, because they had it from Duke Ellington on back to Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Jerry Roll Martin, but the new stuff, the black radical thing that would later on become modern rock and roll. They took the roll off in the 70s to make it white. Say rock. You see what I'm saying? But what they were saying was that their culture transformed America. They said, and by that time, when the civil rights movement came about, white America, the youth had already had a rebellious attitude enough to allow the civil rights movement to happen, because not only the rigid power structure was not dealing with black people sitting in, they was dealing with their own children. They later on became the hippie and tune in, tune out, and whatever. You see what I'm saying? So, but they broke it down every day. I was like, man, these people, something's going on because they're telling the truth. They broke it down from his dress, his talk, his speech, to his gyrations, all black. They even went to the churches he used to hang out with. They went to the clubs he used to hang out with. I say, so it's a whole new thing that's coming down. Y'all all right? I just want to put that, I want to put that out. Okay, let's see here where we going with this thing here. Couple of things. Like I said, they also found 16 statues of the goddess Sekhmet. The goddess Sekhmet in Egypt recently. Now this is very key, because this has a lot to do with where we're going with this particular information. I just want to get a couple of things off my notes before we go into some things. Interesting, they killed Octavia Butler. You know, she was a black sci-fi writer. All of a sudden, she falls in the driveway and hit her head and she's dead. Yeah, right. You understand what I'm saying? You know, anytime...
How long ago did that happen?
That was in February. February the 1st of March. You know, she's a black sci-fi writer, Octavia Butler. You see what I'm saying? So all of a sudden now, she mysteriously falls and she's dead. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they did that, the sister that was doing the work on the water. What's her name? Mona Harris.
Mona Harris. Yeah. That was
Mona Harris, and all of a sudden she mysteriously dies. You see what I'm saying? Because she was doing the work on the water thing.
in the brain.
You see, you know, because water and melanin goes together like peas and carrots. You understand what I'm saying? So she was doing the work on that, and all of a sudden, she falls out dead. So what I'm saying here is this here also. I was talking about the music, and I said the music is a part of the religion. I got a 31-band equalizer. You saw it. The brother Kwaku went up to New York, and he got him a 31 band. And then I told him, I said, well, you just went on another initiation level. I said, what? I said, wait a minute. I said, what's happening here is that they're spirits. And based on the octaves, those spirits here inside of you, they rise up. So there's certain octaves. That's why the CD, when one of the guys in 1990, he took his Miles Davis album collection and traded it in for the CDs. And when he got home, he had been listening to Miles Davis since the 1950s. He said, wait, something ain't right here. Because I've been listening to this thing. And he looked on the back, and they used to print it on the CD. They said there's been certain octaves that have been taken out. Wow. So you hear music, but you don't hear music. And the only way you can truly hear music, well, two ways. Number one, you'll see, if you go to the CD store now, well, since 1997, they started making CDs on the equivalent of an album. But they cost more. You'll see the one for $14. Then you'll see one that say 19 or 23. You were like, why is the CD $23 and this one here is 14? That's because the one that's $23 that costs more got the octaves in it. You see what I'm saying? So they're dealing with the sound. So in so many words, you don't hear sound with digital. They have designed it so you hear the music, but you don't really hear the music. The reason why I know, I was in Indiana, I was doing a lecture a month ago in Indianapolis. The sister put on, she had a little album collection. And she had a damn near closing play turntable. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk bad about it, but it was a piece of crap made by Sony. Hope when she get the tape, she don't. You know, I got a technique, what, 600, 6,000 or whatever. It's a difference. But she put on a Bobby Humphrey album. And there's a song called, it's the one that's almost a Hispanic song. It's called Bella Saw. What's the name of the song? Anybody familiar with Bobby Humphrey?
Yep.
There's a song called Bella Saw. It's a song on, it's also on the Greatest Hits LP, but it's on the album Fancy Dancer. It's the first and second song, Fancy Dancer. And she put it on and I couldn't get enough of it. I said, I'm going home and dig this out of my stack. So she was telling her husband to find the CD, because she had the same CD, because she wanted to play it in the car on the way to the airport. So we got it, and I played it the whole time I was there. And we was going to the airport. She said, I got the CD, and she put it in, brand new CD, rode to the airport, and I wasn't feeling it worth a damn. I said, man, I've been playing this thing, and I just played it a few minutes before I left the house on the LP, and she had the worst turntable, and it was picking up all the stuff. But her turntable was better than the CD. You see what I'm saying? It was better than the CD. So the more octaves, and so one way you can do it is with the LP. Another way is with any good equalizer. Don't even have to be a 31 band. Any good equalizer. You see what I'm saying? That you can hook up. Because most systems now don't come with tape to monitor. So you go get a preamp and plug it in certain things. You might plug it into the alternative, the auxiliary. But to get you a good equalizer and work with the octaves and work with the things so you can get that sound back. Because the digital, you hearing sound, but you're not hearing sound. It's not going to the inner ear melanin. So it doesn't heal you. It doesn't heal you. You see, because I remember when I was working, you know, I work now, but I'm talking about on the conventional thing. I had to get up in the morning and stuff. I'd get up and I'd be damn near dead. And I'd get under that music and them headphones with that LP, and I would heal myself. So you can heal yourself right now by going, because the only thing you're doing is going to the quantum world. Mm-hmm. What we're dealing with now is there's a whole, now you're saying, well, what has this got to do with stuff now? Because the quantum world has opened up. Mm-hmm. Now, which means there's an alternative dimension that's inside of you that you are in residence of. It's just that you don't know that you're resident. So in so many words, there's a whole other field, and if they didn't have the heart machine creates the weather now. Mm-hmm. Because if they didn't create the weather, because I saw it in Atlanta, it got up to 80 degrees in February. And then the planes would come with the chemtrails and drop it every day, and then it would get back cold. And I said, oh, they're creating the weather because the quantum world, the atmosphere and everything has already changed, as well as your DNA. So as a result, if they didn't artificially create a certain simulated weather, you would already know that this dimension is already done dissipated to a whole nother realm. And the only thing that's keeping it from being that other world is your mind still thinking it's Tuesday 1980. And it's a whole nother realm that's going down. And the entire government is dismantling under Iraq. They'll never be able to come out of Iraq. I told people that the week before they went into the war in 2003. I said they'll never be able to come out of that. Never. There's going to be a war that will start and it will last until this country. Well, that's not too far-fetched. Hell, England and France had a war for 100 years. And it doesn't have to do anything with military might. It has something to do with the spirit world and the change of certain situations that have to keep them there based on ego, based on their temperament, and based on politics. And they didn't learn it from Vietnam. It was a spiritual war. And they got beat in Vietnam, they got beat in Korea. You see what I'm saying? And the only reason why they celebrate World War II, because it was a family fight. You see what I'm saying? But, so there's stuff that's being dismantled every day. So what's reading on one area of the everyday news, there's something going on the other area that's something spiritual. And they got players in the game. Okay, you got the god Horus. Anybody know the story of Horus? It's the basic hero story. This is Harpocross, the baby Horus. This is very key. That's the picture of one, because that Harpocross is back on the scene. We know this because you can pick up the energy from certain things since January. You say, what the hell is this? What you talking about? Harpocross, or the baby Horus, is nothing but your soul in the infant state that has just woke up. And in order to identify with it, you got to come out of adulthood and become a child again. That's why I say get into your music, or get into whatever you was in high school and elementary school. See what I'm saying? It might take, go and get you a freeze pop, gingerbread cookies, or some Mary Jane candy. It don't matter, because you're trying to tap into something before you was murdered in the left brain aspect of ego. Because you're going to have to be the children, because your children are now the adults. Because their mind and ego, based on the hip-hop thing, say you got to be hard. And as a result, it shuts down the spirit realm. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be a kid. See what I'm saying? You got to be a kid. You know, I don't know, pop your wife in the face with some spitballs. I don't know what it might take. Fart on her hand. It don't matter, because what, so you thinking it's funny, but what you're doing is you got to come out the rigid monster world of what is called adult in the Western Hemisphere. You see what I'm saying? You see, you got to become that child again. Y'all all right? You understand where I'm coming from here? Now, okay, so I want to do that because this Harpocross is now, and this is interesting here. I want to show you this. I got a tape called Pan Outside the Circles of Time. I want to show you this. Isn't it interesting? This is the baby Horus and the baby Jesus. Later on, the baby Jesus. In the pre-dynastic era, it was this god called Pan. Later on, traveled up into Phoenicia and ended up in Greece. But this is the little goat god Pan. But it's the baby Pan. Later on, you get Pan, you get goat god. Later on, became the template for the devil. Pan is also Capricorn. Capricorn represents child born in the cave, the womb. Capricorn is also Saturn, where you get the word Sabbath from. The god Pan, the little baby god Pan, the goat god Pan, which later on became the template for the devil in later Christian cults, is none other than the Jesus character in the pre-dynastic Egyptian cult. It's called Diopan, or the green man. He holds a flute that is also, the flute is representative of music. You see, the horns just represent God of nature. But it's the baby Horus, later on the baby Jesus. So in so many words, them taking the iconology of an earlier form and turning it into the devil, that was actually talking about Jesus. Ain't that something? Isn't it ironic how things turn around, that when you get into further study of the Christ energy, this, when you find the later aspects, which is the older aspect coming back in new revelations, a new study on this thing, the iconology that they named the devil was actually the original iconology of Jesus or Horus, the Christ figure. Now here he is, as an adult, the goat god Pan, teaching Olympus how to play music. All the stuff I talk about the Christ, the music is the shit. Here you guys see, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Here is the god Pan, which the adult one is a form of Dionysus and a form of Osiris. Osiris, Dionysus, Pan. The adult Pan is a form of Dionysus and a form of Osiris. He's teaching Olympus, a god, how to play the music. The story is that Pan, as the little one, could play the music so good until he was invited into heaven. He was so special with the music, so the God said, hey, you got to give him up here. So many words, these mythological stories is saying it is in your music. And when your music got fucked up, you get fucked up. Only thing you got to do is just go back to your music. Whatever it is that brought you there. You know, when you got into some good stuff and you went there, you need to find whatever that is. Or just keep playing one of the CDs or one of the LPs until you get to the one that hits the spot. Because playing it repetitiously also shuts it down. Sometimes you got to change it up. Because the key to the chaos, or what they call the cosmos, is chaos. And chaos, they say in the order of chaos, change is supreme. It's only chaos because it changes every minute, and you're trying to bring order to that which can't bring order. You need to change too. So you got to mix it up. You see what I'm saying? So this stuff is simple, but sublime. You all right? Okay, let's go on. Gotta make my case. Okay, gotta make my case. I just want to give you that. I want to give you that that particular aspect. The god Pan is also called all in all. I thought they said Allah was all in all. See what I'm saying? See, if you get Kenneth Rayner Johnson's book called The Fulcanelli Phenomenon, came out in 1980 overseas. Fulcanelli was a French alchemist that broke some secrets and some mysteries in the middle of the 20th century. And the CIA in America, the British intelligence, and all of them was looking for him, and he disappeared. They have a scene in Fulcanelli. There's a movie called Chronos that talks about this. But Fulcanelli is this alchemist in France that broke some mysteries of alchemy, which is the mysteries of melanin. And as a result, the governments all converged trying to find him. You see what I'm saying? Trying to find him. In the Fulcanelli phenomenon, when he talks about Fulcanelli, at the end of the book, he starts going into melanin. He starts going into Egypt, and he says something about the Holy Quran. He said, if you trace the surah of the star in the Holy Quran, which is supposed to be Allah, if you trace that shit back to Egypt, the God, this is the God who created both male and female from one single ejaculated semen. He is the Lord of Sirius. Quit thinking of yourself as being important. That's the key. When you reduce yourself to nothing, the person Bobby Hemmitt that I used to know before I started on my journey don't even exist no more. I have no scruples and I have no pride whatsoever. You see what I'm saying? I have no pride whatsoever. I have reduced that and destroyed it, like I said, in October the 16th of 2002, I went to no self. That means I was sitting in the chair and the Bobby Hemmitt disappeared and I didn't know who I was. I was a little frightened for a couple of minutes till I got my bearings. But whatever it was, neutralized. It burned up. You see what I'm saying? It burned up after years of poverty and pauper and all this kind of thing here. And now I'm free, and now actually, you don't worry about it, the finances come in. So it's about like being a child. A child don't have to worry about finances. Now, I know this is kind of hard for you people to, you got your business and you got all this kind of thing here. But I'm trying to give you something on the metaphysical realm. One sister, some sister came, weird sister came, she came to Atlanta back in 1996. She said she was from the Star Sirius. And she wanted to meet me. And she had her hair all wild and shit. And she said, she looked at me. I went down and met this sister. She left Atlanta. She went someplace else. She said she was going overseas or something. I never saw this sister again. I don't know, it was just this weird space cadet sister. And she kept saying, follow knowledge and the money will follow you. Mm-hmm. Follow money and the money will run from you.
That's right.
It's real.
So you have to let go sometime for things to come in.
That's right.
And you have to stop worrying about how certain bills and certain things are going to be paid. And if some of you got your bills, but how certain transactions is going to work out. It's a psychological thing, and everything that it's the same. So that's the concept of Think and Grow Rich and all this kind of stuff. Rich dad, poor dad, all that stuff is ancient science on how you fix your mind. Mm-hmm. If you focus on getting a man 24 hours, you never get a man.
That's right.
See what I'm saying?
And nothing else.
You never get a man. It's always when you ain't looking at them. That's why you pass them up. Because when you stop looking for them, that's when they'll come. And you be like, nigga, get the fuck out of my face. I'm telling you. One sister was we was in the fish place in Chicago. And the guy pulled up on her. I said, there go your man right there. Oh, he ain't my type. I'm like, he already came. What is one's type? You see what I'm saying? So we're talking on a metal. We got to make this stuff plain and simple on how these things happen. So now it's the same thing with the quantum realm when they're saying you got to become innocent. You see what I'm saying? So I stopped hating on the homosexuals.
Right.
Why I'm gonna tell you? Because there's a group of brothers in New York and in Detroit, and all they're doing now is hating on the homosexual. And I said, you know what though? You're gonna get stuck there. It's just like the white man is the devil. Okay, that was popular and different things like that. And now I know brothers now, they're in a box. They can't do nothing because they done said the white man is the devil so much until when there's some information, some knowledge coming and happen to come through some white people or a situation, an avenue where they gotta go where there's some white people, they don't go because they done put themselves in a damn box. See what I'm saying? And sometimes the spirit world use white people as gurus to help you out. Let me give you an example. There's a sister named Aviva in Atlanta. She said when she got a daughter named Monique, she wanted to name the daughter Monique. A white woman came to her, this was in the 60s, late 60s or something, and said, you got a daughter, when she come, name it after your grandmama. Your grandmama was love you to death. Name the daughter after her. And white woman just appeared out of nowhere and disappeared. This was 30-something years ago. She named it Monique. And it took the characteristics of something else, but she would have had it on her side had she named it. You see what I'm saying? But my point here is the stuff is all around you, and they use people to do certain things, but if you're in a certain box, you see what I'm saying? So what I mean by that here is, it ain't got nothing to do, we understand that you've been oppressed by white folks. But when you hate, you receive the hate. What the hell I'm worrying about? And see, Freeman L. used to say, what you worrying about the white man for? He ain't nowhere around. And usually in our case, he's nowhere around. And yes, we can understand that you have to be aware of the world racist system on an institutionalized racist system, but that ain't got nothing to do with the average nigga you meet on the street. These people just as dumb and stupid. You know what I'm saying? And my point here is, you have to, because and it's the same thing with player hating on each other. You see, it doesn't matter anymore. You see, once you let go, I know this thing sounds Christian, but it's not Christian because the Christians is the one that's hating maligning and vilifying when they saying all that other stuff. That's all they do. You see what I'm saying? Now, but my point here is, going back to this, before I go into the other stuff, this realm, this magical realm has opened up. It's the fairy kingdom. You saying, what the hell is this nigga talking about fairy tales? Okay, let me break it down scientifically. They got fairies, gnomes, elves, salamanders, dragons, this, that, all the stuff in fairy tales is nothing but it's cells, it's microscopic organisms, it's plasma, it's all types of stuff that's in your blood, in your body, central nervous system. But what you don't understand here is it's a whole nother universe in there, and it's a quantum world, and it has intelligence. And that's why when the doctor give you up for dead, they say, well, it's all about your mind now. You better go, you hear think to heal, because that's an intelligence. Well, it's intelligence now, because going to the DNA, in us, it's an active intelligence. And when I told you now that anything now that goes on with me physically, and I'm never sick. It's amazing. You figure big as I am, I'm never sick. But I shit 3 times a day before 12 o'clock.
No, you did 5 times yesterday.
I got my 3 in before the lecture.
Before 12.
That's before 12. On a good day, it's about 6 times. So I don't know about y'all. I'm a shitting machine. Just like a horse. So you talking about, hell, y'all all sick. I don't get sick. Anything go down, I don't even have to worry. It's so cool now, I ain't got to worry about it. My shit self-cleans itself. But if I ever get injured and stuff like that, I don't have to go to the doctor. All I got to do is take some. I have to give them what they want. You see the spirits in West Africa, they like alcohol, so I have to find me some medicine. And I swallow this, and the spirits came one day and said, you know it's not the alcohol. I say, you know. But they said, but don't hold up now, goddammit. We wouldn't like that before we get to work. It's all in your mind, though. You see what I'm saying? They just use the alcohol since 2000 to illustrate something that is in your mind. Well, that's the fairy kingdom and stuff I'm talking about here, and that's why our people put it in stuff that's simplistic. But you got to be scientific. You see what I'm saying? Because you got a left-brain mentality, which the European, when he chooses something, he says it's always got to be one way, and it can never compromise and be another way. And secretively, they are always teaching their people everything.
Both ways.
You see? Both ways. You see what I'm saying? We the ones that stuck. So it's just interesting, but it's all based on the mind. You get where I'm coming from here? And that's what this thing is talking about. The baby is nothing but your soul. When the soul wakes up, so what's happening here is because these things, transmissions started coming, and in this little pan figure, he came to the house, he said, I want some toys. So we had to buy toys. He said, I want a little horn and go womp womp. What the hell is that? Womp womp. And with one of them little bicycle clown horns, he wanted one of them shits. And then it's all spiritual. So one sister knocked on the door named Juliet. And she said, Pan told me to bring this over here. And it was 2 little bad teddy bears. So we put them by the statue. Then we got the channel, that's the great bear and the lesser bear, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. And that's where the great mother is. So everything is scientific, cosmological, astrological. You see what I'm saying? Astronomical. All of this stuff. But it's also scientific. But you can't get it from the scientific realm, because it takes them hundreds of years to figure out what it is scientific, when our people left the blueprints around the world in the mythology. You see what I'm saying? And you can go here and figure it out this way, other than going and testing. I gotta find a cure for this, and they never find cures. You see what I'm saying? Everything you take got 400 side effects. Did you ever listen to these commercials? You see what I'm saying? These commercials, 400 side effects. They never find cures. But you've got to become as the baby Harpocross. The baby Harpocross is your soul. The Christos, we are the Christ, and it is your soul. And people around the world. And come to find out, and in some white folks. That's why you see that in some white folks. You see what I'm saying? But that ain't the point. We can't sit up and figure out who's got the spirit, and it's a moot point. You see what I'm saying? All we got to do is work on ourselves. You see what I'm saying? So it don't matter and stuff, you see. But the thing about the spirit world will send you people. And they talked about it in the book of Enoch, the Ethiopian book of Enoch. They said there will be people that will oppress you. They'll even eat you. You'll become food for them. And when you bow down to them, they will turn to deaf ear. They say, but then there'll come a time when we will send people to help you that will look like the people that oppress you, and do not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
That's right. That's real.
You see. So, you know, it might be all kind of, you know, like take for instance, I said, man. I said, man, I don't know how the hell we going to get this rent this month. And no niggas was around. Puerto Rican brother called me up. So I'm going to send you some money, man. I said, okay. I went down to get $100, and it was $1,000. I said, well, who would ever know? You see what I'm saying? It going to come all kinds of ways because it has nothing to do with the appearance. That's gone now. We have already been identified, you see, as the God people. So therefore, the spirit realm will see about things on all types of levels, but you can't judge nothing. You can't make decisions based on the appearance.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? Based on the appearance. You see. And that's how things go. You see, so we deal with that. Now let's go on, because we got a lot to cover. This is the all God, like I said. This is the all God, which is the same best figure. And they say he got every kind of God in him. Man, look at all the stuff he got. Elephants, scorpions, and it's called the all God. It's the all God, the magician that took the following forms. He who made himself and the powers from the principal ancient cosmic gods and the attributes of the gods of all the gods in heaven. What this is a representation of the DNA inside of you that has now come to represent all of the ancient primordial tribes of DNA is in the all gods. We have all components of Africa in us. We got Asia, and we got white folks, we got Indian, we got all this stuff inside of us, which means in alchemy, a mixture that has everything is the most powerful mixture. Is the most powerful mixture. You see what I'm saying? We are all people, and so therefore the DNA we have has all of it in it at this particular time, and as a result, it's come to change into a whole nother substance. Now, it's changed so much until in the Milky Way galaxy, it's showing a double spiral cluster of stars that wasn't there a couple of months ago. The great mystery here is as above, so below. It is showing our DNA in the Milky Way galaxy. And let me get it right here. We got it. Put the exhibit. You can go right on the internet. Let me find this thing. I got it in my bag. We go right on the internet.
I was blown away by that.
And they have it, the double DNA spiral. Oh, just like a nigga. Can't find nothing when you want it. And it'll be right before your face. You know how that goes. And they show it. Just go on the internet and look up the DNA. Here it is. DNA nebula found in the Milky Way. This is CNN.com. I should have put it on. I got a picture of it. I should have put it on the overhead. And it's sitting right in the middle of a black hole. But this is on. Just put in CNN.com and just type in DNA nebula found in Milky Way, and it'll come up. As a matter of fact, put CNN.com DNA nebula found in the Milky Way, March 16th, 2006. That is nothing but as above, so below. That means that there's a DNA that is being registered in the Milky Way galaxy. In the Milky Way galaxy. And that is our DNA. That is a new DNA that is showing up in the Milky Way galaxy. Y'all all right? Mm-hmm. You see, the same time they said that, they found 13 new statues of the goddess Sekhmet. Of the goddess Sekhmet in Hemmitt. This is the goddess Sekhmet. This is the goddess Sekhmet. And this is who we'll be dealing with tonight. This is Sekhmet. This is another form of the goddess Sekhmet in India named Lalita. Very interesting here because she's sitting on top of a man. You can see there's a man. She's sitting on top of the man if you can't see. That's another form of the goddess Sekhmet. Now, another part is Sekhmet is a lion deity. Or the lion-faced deity, Sekhmet. Got that? Do a little special effects on you. Lion-faced deity, but in her Indian form, she's also known as the goddess Durga, which is a form of the goddess Kali. Follow me, we'll break down what all this is in a minute. This is the goddess Durga in her first form on the lion, battling the buffalo demon. The buffalo demon also represents the most stubborn part of yourself. You see, whatever it is, the mythology is always talking about us, or talking about the inner world, or the inner workings of the soul. Now, what does this have to do with the DNA and where we are? Sekhmet, Durga. Let me see, I want to, let's see here. I want to see if I got any other stuff I got to talk about. Okay, yeah. Sekhmet and Durga. There's some stuff with Sekhmet called the Sekhet Aru. The Sekhet Aru, fields of blood. That's why your blood pressure is going up. We have entered in a realm that's called the Sekhet Aru, fields of blood, and it's got something to do with the afterlife, which is actually now. And there's a process of redemption, or a process of the rapture and all this type of stuff that's going on, but it's going on in our central nervous system. Okay, now hold that thought, because I want to set that up. I want to go into something right quick, so you can understand something. Now we get ready to find Jesus. We get ready to find Jesus. You need Jesus in your life. We get ready to find Jesus. You see, now, in the history, you can check this out. In the history of religion, of the great return, all religions talk about something returning. Jesus is supposed to return. You know what I'm saying? The return of the Mahdi in in Islam. The return of Shiva. The return in Hindu. The return of the Messiah in Hebrew. In the history of religion, other than a person returning and going, hey, I am that I am, follow me. And then the motherfucker die, ain't that something? Or get locked up in jail. get caught with a little 9-year-old or some kind of stuff. Know what I'm saying? You know. The only one in recorded history that returned was the original one, which is Horus. White folks know this, the elite knows this. They got chapters of this thing all the way from South Africa to Australia, one in every major city. And they've been studying it, but it ain't for them. It's for us. You see what I'm saying? It's some of them that's been doing the work will be revealed. You see, there's two, despite what we think, there was two resurgence or two revolutions of knowledge that was rising up in the last 15 years. You know, every so many years we come into a consciousness. 1930s, 1920s, the 1930s, the 1960s, and then in the late 80s and the 90s, we came into another consciousness where we started talking about our ancient antiquity, Hemmitt, you know what I'm saying? And then we did African presence all over the world. Well, while we was going through being reintroduced into consciousness, white folks was going through their version of it. It was working hand in hand, because on a bigger picture, now I know because of the simple fact I had to access the material. So when we started going into the consciousness and all this stuff started coming back in, you know, and we started, first we picked up, we got reacquainted with the groups like with Noble Drew Ali and Elijah Muhammad and several other groups. You see what I'm saying? Then we started going into the Afrocentric history and this particular thing, and then we started going into metaphysical aspects of things and spiritual aspects of things. And we've had individuals throughout the ages that's always been into this, but when we're talking about a mania or a phenomenon as far as a group of people that's taking a vested interest in this, those cycles come. Around the late 80s and the early 90s, white folks start getting into conspiracy. Their books start coming out on conspiracy because they had to find out who was actually running them. Oppression is oppression. And then there are more books on the metaphysical and occult science that started to increase in metaphysical bookstores and in Borders and Barnes and Nobles. The so-called New Age became bigger than what it was in the 80s and the 70s and stuff like that, which is nothing but our ancient science. So in so many words, for me and others to do the research to access these particular books, you see what I'm saying? It meant that there had to be the Europeans who had took a vested interest, because the simple fact is they were entrusted with all our information to preserve it for us. That is the reason for the Moors going into Europe. They knew, based on prophecy, that we was going to go into slavery and that the African world would be lost in dormancy. See what I'm saying? You can't get education from people that is sitting over there in the mud. This is the reality of it all. You understand what I'm saying? They're on survival level based on colonization and based on thousands of years of deterioration. So the European, because the civilization was shifting in his realm, in the Western realm, then therefore the Western world had to be outfitted with all of our materials so that we could get it now. And so as a result, in order for us to get it back, white folks had to take a vested interest in the occult, the metaphysics, the conspiracy, alternative living, diet. You go to these health food stores and stuff, they got everything up in there. I'm just trying to say, concurrent with us going through what we're going through, there's a white people going through a certain consciousness too. And they look at other white people, I see some of them, they look at other white people, I see some of these people in their cup, they be like, oh God, this Jesus totem food is so backwards. And they are frustrated too, because there's a lot of them, most of them are ignorant. So I'm trying to say here was, the same time we was going through a resurgence of information, they was going through one too. And that's what I was saying about on Universal. Let me give you an example. They was saying in 2000 that Napoleon was a messiah. I said, that's crazy. Other Some people call it Antichrist. Well, the most people he killed in Europe was Europeans, so that's a family fight. And he lost the campaign in Haiti. But they were saying this about Messiah, but they was doing it for the wrong reason. But guess what? He was a messianic figure. Because he opened up Egypt, and he went into Egypt and took Egypt, who had been under the foot of Islam and Arabism. Because Walter Williams wrote a book on Islam, and it's talking about that the word Islam wasn't popularized as the main aspect of that religion until 1919. And when he said this, I said, well, you just answer the question, because I'm the one that's studying the books, and before 1919, they call it Mohammedism. They call it Mohammedism. So they said that's a political move. You see what I'm saying? That's why you can't say I'm Islamic. That's some Arab stuff. That's Arabism. You see what I'm saying? Whatever you do, you better not call yourself Islam now, because the simple fact is,
Homeland
ever since Dodi Fayed fucked that Princess Diana, the Queen said, fuck that. We going to war with Islam. Anybody line up with that shit, you better say more. You better say, I'm of the ancient order.
That's right.
I'm from the gargoyles. I'm from the beast that roamed the earth before humans. So that's all that we are, is a remnant of the Titans. But don't say you Islam. You better say Jesus.
That's right.
That's what gets you in the door.
That's right. You better
Come of age and say, I'm a Christian.
That's right. Love the Lord.
Put your Bible up under your hand. Nigga say, oh, you can send him wherever to go. He's lost. We can trust him. I don't know what that is. They got a nigga downtown in Atlanta. He go, and he stand up there and all he does is go, pretty nails gonna burn up in the fire. Pretty hair gonna burn up in the fire. He be fucking with them. Pretty shoes gonna burn up in the fire. Pretty suit gonna burn up in the fire. Pretty car gonna burn up in the fire. He be fucking with them. Short dress gonna burn up in the fire. You better do some shit like that.
Right.
Be incognito. Never announce who the hell you are.
That's right.
Now, I know this for a fact, because when I was going into the metaphysical bookstores and I was retrieving myself, I was a fucking Urkel. To them crackers. I was Urkel. They love me to death.
That's right. I know.
I always acted so interested. And I went in there with a brother when he was talking shit. I said, man, you blowing my motherfucking game. Man, you blowing my cover, man. I learned that from a white boy. The white boy told me, man, because I told you, the Pepsi Cola man come to the AU Center and load the soda machines in the Clark and Morehouse and all. He's the Pepsi Cola man. And I went to a conspiracy convention, and this nigga was the MC, white boy. He introducing Bill Cooper, UFO convention.
Yes, sir.
And I went in there and he looked at me. I said, damn, you the Pepsi Cola man. He said, you never know who you talking to.
That's right.
And I said, oh, that's the game. From now on, I'm incognito.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? I'm incognito. I'm Bob. I'm Bob. And they gave me the world.
That's right.
See what I'm saying? I ain't gonna come in there now. So, you know, that's ego. That's right. We gotta get out of all that. We gotta get out of all this thing here thinking that we have to incorporate ourselves or announce who the hell we are. Yeah. We don't know who the people who rule our lives.
That's right. You don't know who they are.
You understand what I'm saying? They might be in the ghetto with their pants behind their foot. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And that's what it is. They say half the agents in New York got dreadlocks. See what I'm saying? That's the point about the incognito. Now, I say that about to say that there was two resurgences of information in history. Now, in the history of what we know, because I'm going to bring all this home in a few minutes, of something coming back, the only one that has come back is two aspects. You got to get to know this person. This is an Egyptian priest called Nakunsu. You've seen this thing here before because Moses be holding this up, calling it the Ten Commandments. See what I'm saying? This is an Egyptian priest called Nakunsu. It is the only person that we have heard from the ancient world to actually come back. White folks is into this thing seriously. Seriously. And it's this black person, and you can clearly see he's black. This is the stellar revealing. This is Nakunsu. And Khonsu is an Egyptian form of Horus, the moon god. Ankh means life. Life of Khonsu. This is a real figure, a real person that lived. This is his stela of an Egyptian priest of the 26th dynasty. And they have his sarcophagus. See, did I pull it out of the stack? They got his sarcophagus right in the British Museum. This has a lot to do with what's going on. I don't have it. I got it in another stack of paper, but I can't find it right now. They got his sarcophagus in the British Museum. This is the stela of Nakunsu. Now, this is very important because the way this reads, he's facing the form of Horus called Ra-Har-Khuit or Ra-Heru-Kahuti or Heru-Bahutit. On the temple doors, on the temple walls of all Egyptian temples, you see the wings with the disc. There's a text called Edfu is in the book From Fetish to God in Ancient Egypt by E. Wallace Bush. There's a text called the Edfu, this is called A Legend of Heru-Bahutit and the winged disc at Edfu. And so that's what this is. So this is a form of Horus. This is another form of Horus. So this is the cosmic form. This is the manifestation of the God form. And this particular person here is Horus in the flesh. So now, what I'm trying to tell you here is the Jesus story that they was talking about. We know that there was never a Jesus that walked the earth. And the only reason why they're giving you the Da Vinci Code and stuff, you were worrying about Mary Magdalene, and these are mythological figures.
That's right.
Mary Magdalene is the great whore. That is the whore of Babylon, which is not a negative person. Hell, that's my friend. That's Ishtar, which is a form of Isis. You see what I'm saying? Because the sacred prostitute is a whole other tantric level. Ain't got nothing to do with no moralism. You see what I'm saying? And got nothing to do with no moralism. A woman that doesn't have a bunch of energies go up in her like men is very powerful and strong. You always keep them essence, and and they knew that them was the magus magicians, is them ones that would screw a lot. That means they possessed a whole lot of power. You see what I'm saying? Even Jesus knew that. Even in the story, hey, wait a minute, hold on. These disciples, we got a bona fide hole right here. I got to stop for a minute. She could rub my feet. Because, you would want to have a hole on your side. It's a metaphysical story. You all got to get out of the essence of moralism to understand this stuff, what's going on. It's the priestess. And there's a whole book on the sacred prostitute and what the stuff meant in the ancient world compared to what it meant now. And it was talking about a woman with very bona fide power. You see what I'm saying? Bona fide power. You see. Even if you want to get your back right now, you say, I want to get a strong woman to kick off at somebody's ass. I think I'll take my thing on a woman that's been off in the street for a minute to get the job done. You understand what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But then again, I can't underestimate a sister, period. You see what I'm saying? They can get creative if they ain't never did shit. Get them mad enough. Now, this is the one that came back. This is Nakunsu, and let me give you the story on what this is about. In 1904, British occultist Aleister Crowley went to ancient Egypt. He was on his honeymoon. He had just married a woman named Rose, and she's the equivalent of being dead. You ever have a person that don't know shit? Rose was a Victorian woman that don't know her ass from a hole in the ground. She don't know nothing about nothing. Crawley married her, and he had been in all these occult societies since he was a teenager. And he married her, and he was vacationing in Egypt. And she started coming down in trance and said that the god Horus is waiting on you, and it's all about the child. Papa, that's where we are right now. It's all about the child. Trust me on this shit. When you neutralize yourself as being, did you see the damn movie Down and Out in Beverly Hills? Yeah. When they had the dog psychiatrist and they had the little man talking to the dog and the dog wasn't doing shit, and the bum came up in there and said, you want him to get to eat this food? You gotta get down there in that plate. He got down there and put that generation of some shit in that bowl and got down there on the floor and started eating it. When the dog saw him eating it, the dog started eating the food. You understand what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make here is, become a child like your child. Because your child, you see what I'm saying, that is the adult now.